Check out our Instagram page at andthe90spod. We've been working really hard to post supplemental videos to these podcasts so that you can...
There's a lot of cool stuff up there.
Yeah, so you can see what we're talking about, not just listen to it.
Yeah, get some clips of maybe some outtakes, some audio clips. There's just going to be a whole bunch of fun stuff up there. Check it out, and on with the show.
You've got mail.
Do you remember the 90s?
Come on, Uncle Phil, this is the 90s, man.
Man, it's the 90s. It's hammer time. Come on.
It's the 90s, remember? Microchips, microwaves, faxes, airphones.
Ma, it's the 90s. You can call it what it is.
Yada, yada, yada.
I can be anything I want to be. It's the 90s.
What, are you nuts? This is the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
Wake up and smell the 90s.
And camcorders. Here is technology gone berserk. Everywhere you go now, there's some dick, some yo-yo, some putz with a camcorder, and he is going to tape everything. Doesn't anyone in this country just stop and look at things anymore? Are people's lives so bankrupt they sit at home looking at things they already did?
What do you think today's topic is, Dave?
I mean, it is about the human condition. Let's see.
Today's deep episode.
Yeah, the human condition. Is it about cameras?
No.
It is about video recording.
It's not really about the subject.
It's about documenting.
No.
I mean, it's not about George Carlin. Someday.
How do you know it's not about George Carlin? What does George Carlin do?
Oh, stand-up comedy?
Yes!
Wow. Okay. I was going with the subject, but okay,
No.
I will go with stand-up comedy.
Stand-up
Brilliant.
comedy, yeah. No, I just used that clip because it had sort of a 90s theme. It was very specific to 90s
Yeah.
comedy. But
Nice old man rant,
nice
too.
old man rant, and I know that he's your favorite.
Well, yeah, and that was his old man age, too. George Carlin in the 90s is him being like, what the hell is wrong with this world?
Well, it was towards the end of his life, so he was definitely a grumpy old man at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk about stand-up comedy in the 90s because it was everywhere. To give a little context, back in the 90s and the 80s as well, and sometime a little into the early 2000s, I don't think this is the case anymore. There were shows on the TV that were just stand-up comedy. Like they would go to a comic club, usually in like New York or LA or Montreal, and they would just record the stand-up comics and they'd edit it into a half-hour show and put commercials between the sets.
Yeah, it was the world of syndication.
Yeah.
And you could do anything, and it was easy enough to package together.
And probably really cheap.
And there were so many comedy clubs.
So many. I'm sure there's less now than there were in the late 80s and 90s.
Okay, so hit me. What
shows do you remember?
Oh, geez.
Like the one that sticks out to me is Evening at the Improv.
From Hollywood and beautiful Santa Monica by the sea, home of America's premier comedy showcase, the world-famous improvisation, it's A&E's and Evening at the Improv.
Okay, Evening at the Improv. That was actually an A&E thing.
It was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Arts and entertainment.
Yeah,
back in
when
arts and entertainment.
yeah.
Pre-hoarders.
Yeah. Do you remember other shows?
Showtime at the Apollo every once in a while had a comedian.
Well, I think more than every once in a while. I think every episode had at least a comedian.
Yeah, but it was a variety show. It wasn't just comedy.
Tonight, from the village of Harlem in New York City, the world-famous Apollo Theater, where dreams are born and legends are made, is proud to present It's Showtime at the Apollo. Starring Steve Harvey.
But Def Comedy Jam was.
Def Comedy Jam was a big revelation, yes. Mm-hmm. You know, springing off of In Living Color and kind of the Fox lineup of like black performers.
From New York City, it's the Russell Simmons Def Comedy Jam. With your host, Martin Lawrence.
There's also Comic Strip Live. That was on Fox.
Oh, okay.
From
Yeah.
91 to 95. There's HBO comedy Half Hour.
HBO had a lot of them. HBO also had Comic Relief,
Yep.
which was not a show, but you know.
We'll talk about Comic Relief for sure. Let's see, the A-List that was hosted by Richard Lewis. Do you remember that at all?
No, I don't. I remember the ones that were a lot more local because we had here in America the superstations, which are the Chicago
WGN and
Superstation,
stuff,
and they had those, and they were always a Chicago-based comedy, and they had local comedians on it. And I remember like Jackie the Joke Man, Jackie the Joke Man from Howard Stern would host one that came out of New York.
So we had one of those in Canada also. It was called Comedy at Club 54, and it was out of Burlington, Ontario.
Welcome to Comedy Club 54. We have an outstanding show for you. Your first act is from the nation's capital. Where's that, sir? Can I see your green card, please, sir? He is from Ottawa, not Toronto. He's from Ottawa.
And I do remember that. Like when I was looking through stuff, it like opened a door of a memory because I definitely watched that.
Well, they were always on. They were omnipresent. It was almost like infomercials.
Yeah, and Caroline's Comedy Hour, MTV Half Hour Comedy Hour.
Okay.
Which is a fun name. And even shows like Star Search.
From Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, it's the 1986 competition of Star Search with your host, Ed McMahon.
I was going to say Star Search was an 80s thing, but they always had stand-ups on that. And that perpetuated a lot of the big comedy club like acceleration that started in the late 70s.
So stand-up comedy was, at this point, it was a place to find talent.
For the husband-centric sitcom apocalypse that would be coming with was it Dumpy Husband, Hot Wives sitcom apocalypse?
Hot wife, fat husband. So let's talk about the personal sitcoms. This is the most notable version of comedians, stand-up comics becoming actors in their own, often self-titled shows. And who's the most famous?
Well, Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld, yeah. And
really second to that.
Okay.
Roseanne.
Well, yes, Roseanne. However, Seinfeld is really the only one that focuses on a show about a fictionalized version of him living his life as a stand-up comic.
Yeah,
and so
he is Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, The Open, and was it the club? You don't watch the show. You never watch the show. So this is why we're not doing an actual Seinfeld episode, because Mr. Dave here has never really watched Seinfeld.
I can do some homework if it really comes down to it.
No, we're just going to gloss over Seinfeld. He is the most popular, the most famous, and it is the most sort of direct. I am a comedian, and this is a show about a comedian.
I mean, the opening of it is him. Opening and closing of it is him.
That's what I was going to say.
The bookends of it are him actually doing stand-up that's relevant to the concept of the show.
Exactly. And part of the way through the show, they do episodes about him pitching a show to TV executives about nothing, which is what his show is about. Nothing.
I think I can sum up the show for you with one word. Nothing. Nothing? Nothing. What does that mean? The show is about nothing.
Well, it's not about nothing.
No, it's about nothing.
Well, maybe in philosophy, but even nothing is something.
So let's talk a little bit about Roseanne. Roseanne is probably the most successful female comedian in this sort of category of self-titled TV show. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes kind of craziness in the first couple seasons because she was very controlling about her material.
It wasn't the first, but it was the most successful version of like a middle America, or not even middle America, like poor American.
Yeah, lower middle class.
So it was very relatable.
Yeah, and it was one of the probably more realistic sitcoms that existed on the TV in the late 80s and 90s. Can you think of other ones? Because I have a big old list.
I'm trying to think of ones that maybe were very early 90s and maybe Gary Shandling.
Well, he did a couple. He did It's the Gary Shandling Show.
But then the one in the 90s was Larry Sanders, which was the take on Johnny. He did it after Johnny Carson retired because it was a take on the Johnny Carson show.
Right.
And he was actually in line to take over for Johnny. He was one of the people. And he
didn't get the gig.
But he used that inspiration and everything to do the Larry Sanders Show. And that's a great show. Have you ever seen the Larry Sanders Show?
Parts of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't sat down and watched the whole thing. Although I have to say, these shows I've watched, not necessarily, I've seen all of Seinfeld. I've seen all of Roseanne. I've seen parts of most of these shows.
So do you know the origin, though, of the hapless husband with the hot wife kind of sitcom?
What was the OG?
Well, the big one was Home Improvement.
Tim, this is the proper tool.
Yeah, I bet it is, Al. You know, men, we want a job done right, and we want it done quick. What do we need? More power! Darn right, more power.
Well, that's
With
not
Tim
hot
Allen.
wife, fat husband.
No, but it's
That's King of Queens.
It set the model, though, for that was, besides Roseanne, I'd say they were both ABC shows, but Tim Allen and Home Improvement, people forget that show was insanely popular.
That was really popular.
I mean, it spawned Pam Anderson. If you want to go with that was pre Baywatch. She was the Tool girl.
She was the first Tool girl. Yeah, this is bringing back memories. Yeah, I watched Home Improvement.
And that started in the 80s, but it was very much into the 90s.
Late 90s, probably 89.
It also spawned his sons, who ended up becoming little teen heartthrobs for a few years.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, especially.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, yeah.
And the other ones who I don't remember their names. All right, who else?
I don't even know. Did Cosby had a show at some point during the 90s, I remember.
Cosby had a couple shows. I mean, he had the Cosby Show, and then he had
Cosby Mysteries.
He had the show called Cosby, where I think he reunited with Felicia Rashad.
And let's see.
And we're including all of them. So we're going to talk about Cosby. We're going to talk about Louis C.K. We're going to talk about all of the people that are questionable and maybe shouldn't have had the kinds of careers that they did have. But we're going to talk about them because that's what happened in the 90s.
Yeah. I don't know. Hit me with one while I'm remembering. Good.
This is a little bit more, not out there, but a little bit less commonly remembered because she hasn't really done much since. Brett Butler. Do you remember that? Grace Under Fire?
I was going to say Grace Under Fire. I always thought that Grace Under Fire, and I would fight people about this. I always thought it was a spinoff of Roseanne.
Oh, really?
I thought she was one of the workers. When she was
looked similar to one of the workers.
Yeah,
but that's not
when
the
George
case.
Clooney was on the show too, when she was at that factory.
At the very beginning.
I swear that she was on Roseanne. Now, she might have been on Roseanne.
Yeah, but it was not a spinoff.
But it wasn't a spinoff of it.
Yeah.
And it was very much in the same vein as Roseanne. It was very much about working class,
and I think she was a single mom.
Americans. Yep.
After 8 years and 3 children, I decided to go it alone. And believe me, it was the hardest decision I've ever made. But I figured I had 2 choices. I could spend the rest of my life waking up next to a knuckle-dragging, cousin-loving, beer-sucking redneck, or I could work like a dog for lousy money while I raised 3 kids all by myself. Boy, is it nice to have choices.
I thought that was a great show. I watched that, but I don't know anything about what she's done in recent years. I think she's had some life problems. Alcoholism,
yeah.
I think. So
she's had some issues. So let's see. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch.
I know there's so many of them. I don't know if is Raymond
Ray Romano. Yeah.
Ray Romano is towards the tail end of the 90s.
Yeah,
though.
I would say that he still counts because he was a stand-up comedian in the 90s that led to a very, very, very popular show.
Yeah.
So whether or not the shows happen to have been in the 90s isn't really necessarily that important, but he was definitely a stand-up comic in the 90s.
I mean, if you want to go into the whole Fox thing, Martin Lawrence,
absolutely.
You know, that was insanely popular.
Martin.
Yeah, Martin. And he would do all the characters and dress up in drag and have all the different makeups and everything. Yep. Eddie Murphy style.
Yep.
Yeah, keep going. Give me one here.
Drew Carey.
Drew Carey was great because it was surreal.
It was weird.
Really bizarre.
But it was a great show. I loved the Drew Carey show.
And it had all of the, a lot of the side characters were all people that he eventually, were all like improv comedians on Whose Line Is It Anyways, that he eventually ended up working on, and that troop
For
of
those
characters.
youngins who don't know who Drew Carey is, he is the guy who currently is Let's Make a Deal. No, the other one.
No, he was the
Price is
replacement
Right.
for Bob Barker
For
on
Price is
Price
Right.
is Right, and he's been doing that for a little over 10 years now.
That's
if that
crazy.
makes you feel old.
Thanks. Lots of things do, but that certainly is on the
That one
list.
definitely does it.
All right, so here's another really good one. Margaret Cho.
Oh, the Margaret Cho show. So that
No.
no, just Margaret Cho.
No.
Was it called Cho? I don't
No,
know.
it was called All American Girl.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
But it was a show that was for her, about her, and her extended family.
I did watch it.
And it was one of the
Yeah.
very, very, very first Asian sitcoms.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it was definitely the guy
In America.
The guy who did Off the Boat.
Mhm.
The more recent one that was kind of like the Asian Blackish
Mhm.
was a definite inspiration. Margaret Cho would show up on that show, but yeah, it was funny. It was
I
really
like that
good.
show. It was very short lived.
Yeah,
But I enjoyed
that
it.
was kind of, they started getting into some of the alt comedians because
Mhm.
alt comedy became very popular because you also had, I mean, are you counting sketch comedy shows or just sitcoms?
I mean, I would count sketch comedies as a completely different category, of which we will be going through several different categories.
I see.
So
Okay,
it would be
okay.
separate,
All right.
but it will be included.
All right.
But there's still so many more. Well, not that many more. Jeff Foxworthy?
I did not watch it, but yes.
No, I didn't watch that one either. But he was very popular to a certain demographic. And Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, okay, yes, and Ellen DeGeneres, yes,
Yeah.
and the popular episode of Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes. Do you know what her sitcom was called in the first season?
No, I know. I guess it wasn't Ellen.
No. It was called These Friends of Mine.
Hi, I'm Ellen DeGeneres, sitting here with my mom to tell you about my new show on ABC. It's very funny. You should watch it. Thank you, Mom. How is that? That's good. You know, Elvis bought his mom a car. She didn't even do a promo for him. All right, I'll buy you a car.
These Friends of Mine.
Picture of a car.
Coming later this month here on ABC.
And that was actually not just the pilot. That was the
That was
season.
the first season, I think.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not 100%
Okay,
sure.
okay.
But then they just switched it to Ellen because of name recognition. They were like, These Friends of Mine is obviously a ripoff of Friends, so we don't need to actually include the title of their show in the title of our show.
Did you watch Ellen?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was pretty good. She ran a bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
I vibed with that. I worked at a bookstore. Yeah, and it was a really big deal when they did the lean over a microphone to announce that you're gay in the episode.
Yes.
And Oprah was in it, I think.
Why do I have to be so ashamed? I mean, why can't I just say the truth? I mean, be who I am. I'm 35 years old. I'm so afraid to tell people. I mean, Susan, I'm gay.
The world shook.
The world shook. It sure did. For no reason. So besides these kind of self-titled or shows that were built around stand-up comics, there was also another category of sitcoms that starred former comedians or stand-up comics.
Okay.
Like Mad About You.
Oh, Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
It wasn't a show that was necessarily built for his performance, but he became an actor that played in a sitcom. And Bob Saget.
Oh, yes, Bob Saget on Full House. I was wondering about the TGIF people, but he was
Mm-hmm. I think so. When we were, I watched
dirty comedian.
I watched the hell out of Full House because I think Candace Cameron is almost exactly our age.
Yeah.
As a kid watching Full House,
Yes.
he
It was
a
quite a
dad,
surprise.
And then later on, I found out that he was a dirty comedian. I never watched Bob Saget comedy. I don't find it particularly entertaining. I don't love dirty stand-up, but it was sort of a revelation.
Speaking of kind of dirty-ish or weird stand-up, Norm Macdonald had a show.
He did, yeah.
During this time, and Norm was very good. That was a great show. I watched
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's others, and if we just listed sitcoms, probably half of them were former stand-up comics, but those are the only ones that I can think of. But then, like you said, there was also another direction that stand-up comedy, stand-up comedians would go in is sketch comedy. So that's where you get the In Living Color, the Mad TV, the Saturday Night Live, which still draws stand-up comics to this day. What are the other ones? SCTV?
Well, no, SCTV was like 70s, early 80s. It was done by this.
Was it?
Oh, 100%. It wasn't like Saturday Night Live. It just existed for about probably 5 or 6 years with those comedians, and it kind of died with them.
I see.
Once
Kids,
they
how
moved
about Kids
on.
in the Hall?
Kids in the Hall was 100%.
90s.
And they went on to.
Well, Dave Foley did news radio.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan also used to be a stand-up comic before
Joe
he was
Rogan,
a podcaster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People don't know that. Oh, and the Chappelle Show. Dave Chappelle. No, the Chappelle Show wasn't the 90s, but Dave Chappelle was a comedian or a stand-up comic in the 90s, right?
He a little
late
bit,
90s.
Yeah, late 90s.
He's not that much older than us.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best friend in You've Got Mail. So
yeah, okay. So besides the stand-up centric sitcom, which is a mouthful, the sitcom that starred an actor who happened to be a stand-up. Sketch comedy. There's also hosting.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right? So that's what Drew Carey eventually pivoted towards. Jay Leno. So there's like late night hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like game show hosting. Right?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm trying
Some of them did.
Yeah.
Not too many, but that was a category of things that stand-ups went towards.
I feel like that was a later thing because the 90s still had those old school Alec Trebek and people still on there. But I totally know what you're talking about.
You know,
yeah.
And some of the Comedy Central shows that I probably didn't watch, like with Jon Stewart. And then probably the last sort of major category would be stand-up comedians that transitioned into movie actors.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the Robin Williams.
Okay.
R.I.P. The Jim Carreys, the Adam Sandlers, those sorts of people. Can you think of other stand-ups that got really big Hollywood careers?
Rob Schneider was one during this time, and I mean he's a
Pauly Shore for a while.
Wow, Pauly Shore
was
for
he a
a
stand-up?
lot. Yeah, he was. Yeah, no, Pauly Shore. Oh my God, yeah, Pauly Shore. One day the Pauly Shore episode, and we run completely dry. But I'm telling you,
hey, he had a run.
I mean, the OJ we just did, and the OJ we did Jury Duty. Yeah, yeah. I saw all the Pauly Shore movies.
I saw more than I would.
Stuff. There's about 4 or 5. There's about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Man, the Pauly Shore show right now.
Right.
No, but towards the end, the SNL. This is the period of the SNL movie.
That's true too. Yeah, that's a whole different.
It really
podcast
but
episode.
That's what you're talking about, though, is that Lauren Michaels would funnel those characters. If something became big or someone became hot, they would put Wayne's World, even freaking Night at the Roxbury, those types of things. And eventually, if you were good enough, you escaped and you were Will Ferrell or something, and you got to
or Mike Myers for a while,
or Mike Myers for a little bit, and you got to do like So I Married an Axe Murderer instead of having to do Wayne in between
Powers.
Wayne's World or Austin Powers.
Yeah, which was not an SNL thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, can you think of any movies that were actually about stand-up comedy?
Well, the Tom Hanks movie with Sally Field, Punchline.
I think that was late 80s.
That was late 80s. Not really. Besides, until recently, they just made a recent film that in 2025 that had Will Arnett in it and Laura Dern.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, and but I can't think of it. Do you have? Is there one you're leading me down?
There's really not very many.
No, there really isn't a lot about stand-up comedy.
No,
I mean, okay. Another guy that I completely forgot about this. This is of Rodney Dangerfield. Kind of his like the first part of the '90s. He's coming off Back to School from the '80s, and he's doing like some real low-hanging fruit. We're talking like Ladybugs.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
What is it? Rover Dangerfield, the animated kids film musical.
Nice.
Yeah, you know.
Nice. So Punchline is definitely a movie about stand-up comedy. Do you remember? I didn't see it, but This Is My Life.
This Is My Life is the Adam Sandler film that is, isn't it?
No, it's Julie Kavner, the voice from The Simpsons.
Oh no.
And It was Nora Ephron's first film directing. I think I may have seen it because I watched the trailer and like Gabby Hoffman is in it, who was a huge child actress at the time. She was in like Sleepless in Seattle and stuff. And I guess it's a woman who comes into some money, and so she wants to fulfill her dream of becoming a stand-up comic. So she moves to New York, and she becomes successful, but sort of to the detriment of her children.
And she's about to discover the only thing tougher than being a star
Do you like this? People just come up to you and don't even knock?
is being a mother.
And then there was Mr. Saturday Night.
Oh, geez, that's right. But that was him
Billy
doing.
Crystal.
That was Billy Crystal. It's almost like a For the Boys thing, where it was
Kind
a
of,
period
yeah.
piece where he was playing someone who was like a Milton Berle like character who hosted who came from like the radio days
Yeah.
all the way up to early television.
They did compare those films to each other quite a bit because they weren't too far apart time-wise, and they did have sort of a similar theme like that.
And they were both wildly successful.
Wildly, yeah. No. So
the kids were if only
They were
if only they
clamoring.
came out right at the time for swing dancing. They were just like 3 years away from hitting
I
like that
know.
retro
I
thing.
know.
I'm sure the kids would have flocked to it.
Yep. So then there's documentaries. There's, well, kind of. The original Kings of Comedy, which I think is what you were alluding to before, with a bunch of very popular
Cedric the Entertainer,
black male stand-ups.
the future host of Family Feud. What is his name?
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey was in it. Directed by the King of Comedy. Directed by very prominent black director.
Oh, Spike Lee.
That's right. But the Blue Collar Comedy Tour as well made a movie.
Yeah.
That was pretty big.
Yeah. Now, this documentary is not strictly from the 90s, but it has a tremendous cast of stand-up comics from all through the years. And I think you know which one I'm alluding to. And we own it on DVD.
Oh, the Aristocrats.
Can you explain the premise of the documentary?
Yeah, it's about the joke, The Aristocrats, which is like the filthiest joke that you can think of.
And I think you can put people to death for what goes on in the best versions of this joke.
Do it. It's like a dog with 3 legs. You don't want to look, but you just.
He is completely covered with. She blows a smoke ring out of her.
And then we all drop our drawers and take a huge.
They might have to clean this up for TV.
It's basically a premise of a joke than an actual joke, because each performer puts their own sort of spin on it. But the filthier it is, the better it is.
Yeah, and it's almost an endurance challenge of like how long and terrible you can make it.
But the punchline is the Aristocrats.
The Aristocrats. What do you call this act?
The Aristocrats.
And he says the Aristocrats.
So yeah, that one has like all kinds of people in it that are very, very famous. I won't list them all, but it is very significant.
It's worth seeing, especially because it has a lot of comedians that did not last very long. I mean, they were old Catskills comedians and old school comedians that this was some of their last times they were ever interviewed or on camera.
Totally.
So,
Yeah. Let's see. So I just have kind of a list of significant comedian or stand-up comics. I keep saying comedians. Is that an interchangeable term, do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, you can be a comedian and not be a stand-up.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm
so
like,
I'm second
can I-
guessing my yes, but you can go with stand-up. We'll go with stand-up
All
from here if we're going to be journalistic about this.
Right.
You know?
So who do you think are like the pinnacle of stand-up in the 90s, but also surrounding decades that had long careers and were significant? I would say George Carlin would be one of the main ones.
I think George Carlin, because he spanned many comedians, I think only last maybe like they don't have a lot of longevity.
Right.
And he completely stayed relevant and reinvented himself like every decade.
Yeah. But also primarily did stand-up comedy. Like he didn't... He was in movies, like he was in Outrageous Fortune.
Yeah, Outrageous Fortune, Bill and Ted's.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
Primarily, his gig was stand-up comedy, and he did records and he did specials.
He hosted the first ever Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Who else would you say are like legendary?
I was going to go with Dane Cook in that era of those kind of like, I don't know, chauvinist kind of weird masculine kind of comedy that seemed to start coming up. But I don't know if that was more of a 2000s thing. But that was the birth of the stadium comedians that kind of almost even started with like Andrew Dice Clay, these guys who would fill like Madison Square Garden. And that was a phenomenon in the 90s where they had like well, it wasn't even that. Like you had Chris Rock. Chris Rock was enormously big, and he was doing stadiums.
Yeah.
They were people.
And Seinfeld, I think, would be in that too.
Eddie Murphy was doing that. So was Richard Pryor. But in the 90s, you had stadium comedians, and that was something that had almost never happened before.
Right. They were club comedians prior.
Exactly. And I mean, you're talking about your echelon of guys were like Steve Martin. But they wouldn't go on tour so much. They do like the Hollywood Bowl, or they would do the Sunset Strip or something like that. But these were guys that Chris Rock would go around the entire country and do only stadiums and sell out and play to thousands of people. I don't even know how that plays.
Can you imagine how much money they made? Well, because those kinds of productions are so simple. Like it's usually a guy and a mic and a stool and some lighting cues.
Right, racism everywhere. Who's the maddest people? White people. Not y'all, y'all all right. Pay money to see me, we cool. The feud is over. Now, you watch the TV, you watch like 60 Minutes and shit, you see white people pissed off, man. Mad, the white man thinks he's losing the country. You watch the news like, we're losing everything. We're fucking losing affirmative action and illegal aliens, and we're fucking losing the country. If y'all losing, who's winning?
What about the women? What do you think was going on with the women comedians? Because there was not very many. There was a handful of them. We mentioned a few of them. There's also Whoopi Goldberg and Kathy Griffin and Paula Poundstone. But
so you also, for hosting at this time, if you're talking about people that are hosting, you mentioned Jay Leno. What about Rosie O'Donnell? What about Bonnie Hunt? They both had their own shows. I watched the Bonnie Hunt show. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was. And she had a couple different shows. Her shows were always good for the audience that really liked it, but there wasn't enough of it. Well, there wasn't enough of them.
She was a throwback.
Yeah.
Her talk show was...
But I forgot about Bonnie Hunt. She was great.
Her talk show was very
Caroline
much like
Ray.
a Murph... Caroline Ray.
Caroline Ray had one as well.
Caroline Ray, yeah.
From
so
Sabrina.
So guess what? Guess what, women? You had it all. You had it all.
Sure.
Take it. Now you have The View. You're done.
Yeah.
You've gotten more than you ever wanted.
It's true, yeah. Whoopi Goldberg had a late night show, like a really weird one that had like multiple cameras.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a half-hour show. Do you not remember Whoopi Goldberg having a late night show?
No.
Oh, you'll have to look it up. It was a weird format. It was like her sitting cross-legged on a chair, and then like somebody else sitting relatively close to her on a chair right across from her. But they had like multiple camera shots on screen at a time. It was kind of a cool look.
Oh, this was also the time of, you're talking about Johnny Carson, kind of. Johnny Carson was a comedian at his time, and the big thing with that is he was the guy who curated the stand-ups. If you got on Johnny Carson, that was your
that was a big deal, for Seinfeld,
and if you
for
were
Roseanne.
invited back to the desk.
To the desk.
To the desk.
Yep.
And with him leaving, that left a huge hole in that. They still had comedians come on with Leno and everything, but it definitely was not the same as being
wasn't
christened.
The Prestige, yeah.
I mean, you were not even christened, anointed. You were anointed. But in that space, Joan Rivers was, when the Fox network came out, was given her own...
that was probably in the 90s too, right?
It was. But the thing was, it was competing against Johnny, and Johnny never forgot her, and she was never allowed to guest host again. And she was one of the people that was very prominently on that list to take over for Johnny, and he never forgave her for it.
Nice. Yeah. So let's see, what other women? Paula Poundstone. I think she had a show at some point, didn't she?
And she had very wide ties. Maybe Paula Poundstone had a show.
Janine Garofalo.
She had a show. She was she was on the Ben Stiller show.
She was on the Ben Stiller show, and she became a movie actor. So she did pretty well for herself. Sarah Silverman had a show.
Sarah Silverman had a show later.
A few different shows, I think.
Yeah, she had the Sarah Silverman show, and then she had kind of a kind of a political show that wasn't quite a sketch. It was like interview, kind of like a Daily Show kind of thing. But that was definitely a lot later. Yeah.
So I have a bunch of other women that I wanted to talk about. I mean, Kathy Griffin was on the Brooke Shields show, Suddenly Susan.
Suddenly Susan, yep.
Yep. That lasted for a while. Didn't Monique have a show?
Oh, geez. Monique did have a show. It was on UPN.
Yeah. Oh, Monique. It was named after her, wasn't it?
Yeah. Trying to think of any of the Fox stuff.
Tracy Ullman.
Oh, yes, of course. And that's the British, came over.
Tracy Ullman. She had the Tracy Ullman show, which led to The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, yeah.
Yep. And then there was French and Saunders. Mm-hmm. Both of them. Mo Gaffney, who appeared on their show.
And French and Saunders led to
Ab Fab.
That's right.
Yep.
Which was in the 90s.
So was French and Saunders, wasn't it?
Yeah, French and Saunders was very early in the 90s, but Ab Fab was definitely a thing.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody that we haven't talked about that should be noteworthy stand-up comics / comedians?
I mean, I think to me in the 90s, that was the last time I cared about stand-up comedy.
I think that was the last time there were shows that were just stand-up comedy.
Yeah, well, definitely. But just the sense that there was a change of this kind of, like I was talking about with like the Dean Cain thing and the alt comedy. I like
Dean Cain is Superman.
Dean Cain. Who am I talking
Dane
about?
Cook.
Dane Cook. Dane Cook. They're both
dreamy.
They're both dreamy. I'll keep my opinions to myself on either of them nowadays. But there was this distinct line about in the 2000s, and it happened in everything. It happened in music. It happened in wrestling. It happened in comedy, where there was like this attitude, kind of like misogyny that came over everything, and it just turned me off of. Basically, it was either that or it was alt comedy, which was like you're too cool to be funny, and it just wasn't interesting.
Oh, speaking of too cool to be funny, not too cool, but also not funny.
Okay,
Carrot Top.
Oh, Carrot Top. Well, prop comedy. I mean, he was just sucking on Gallagher's teat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he's a guy who really didn't do anything else. He was straight up just stand-up comedy.
Do you remember his, I'm not going to say one and only, but I think his one and only major motion picture? I saw it in the theater.
I bet you did.
Chairman of the Board.
Which one was that?
I don't know. I don't remember the premise of Chairman of the Board, the plot, but I remember the poster. And the poster is he is surfing through a boardroom. Somehow he got a wave into a boardroom.
Oh, I do remember that cover.
He's surfing on the door to the room because he blew it open with his radicalness.
It was there when I worked at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And then we can go back to, we did touch on this with Robin Williams, was Comic Relief, which was a charity event that was hosted by Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, and Whoopi Goldberg for years and years and years. And it had stand-up comics perform to raise money for the homeless in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and it was an annual event that would happen on HBO. And I remember they would actually have, HBO was a paid channel at the time, and a premium channel that they would unscramble for that night only, so that you could, they would have the telethon. So I remember tuning into that all the time because they would always forget to unscramble it right afterwards. So maybe you're lucky you get maybe like almost a whole movie on the beginning or end of it, if you were lucky.
I just remember seeing it at the Blockbuster that I worked at, and I think I rented a few of them because you could just get the tapes.
Yeah, that was a big one because that went on for years.
A long time,
A long time. And again, kind of like with the Jerry Lewis telethon, it was like the last gasp for a lot of those performers. There were a lot of people that would come out for those events to do 5 minutes, to do 10 minutes that never really came out anymore.
Do you have, this isn't a specific performer, but do you have 3 not holy grails, gateway drugs to stand-up comedy? Like, what would you suggest?
Now, would this be 90s centric or just in general?
Whatever you want.
I definitely was more of
There's no rules. It's our podcast.
It is. I was more of an 80s kid when it came to stand-up comedy.
Okay.
I still think that the Kings of Comedy, I watched that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but Kings of Comedy is absolutely for the funniest guys in the industry at that time. And the thing that's kind of crazy about it is that they weren't new. These were guys that had been working the beat for decades. They just were getting finally their time in the spotlight, and they were the headliners on this big tour.
Mm-hmm.
The community knew who they were, and then they finally got to a national level. And then you got the Bernie Mac show. Mm-hmm. And then Cedric the Entertainer, I think, got a sitcom as well.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Harvey is still like he might as well be like he's America's Bob Barker now.
Mm-hmm.
At the Family Feud. So that's my first recommendation.
Okay, my first recommendation is that what it's called? All American Girl, the Margaret Cho show. I think that'd be fun to rewatch and go to because I think there's only like a season of it, but I love Margaret Cho.
I also have I believe it's an ABC sitcom of the time, The Drew Carey Show.
Great show.
You mentioned The Drew Carey Show and I lit up because
rewatch time.
It's one of the last like surreal sitcoms.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cartoony, really zany.
Yeah.
And
it's very similar to news radio in that way,
Yeah.
especially in later seasons.
But they would go so as far. I mean, the character of Mimi alone, who knows what happened to that woman?
She's great.
Clown looking like adversary to Drew Carey. She would literally run into the room and burst through the wall like a cartoon character sometimes. So that's definitely on my high watermark there.
Yeah. So I would say this wasn't from the 90s, but it was a comedian from the 90s. My Life on the D-List.
Oh,
Kathy
okay.
Griffin. I think that show is fantastic. It's so entertaining. And it shows her life as a stand-up comedian, as a woman stand-up comic, and, as someone who kind of gets odd jobs doing sort of the list of things that, we've mentioned. In the odd movie here, she's in a sitcom, she hosts things, she presents things, that sort of thing.
It was very much a precursor of the celebrity reality series as well.
Yeah, it was an early version of it. It wasn't the earliest, but it was an earlier version of it.
It's one of the most popular ones at the time.
Yeah, I liked it.
I have The Ultimate Cheat, but it's our podcast.
Yeah.
Anything that's an HBO special.
HBO specials across the board.
The people that were keeping syndication was keeping like just put a camcorder up in the back of the room and film a comedy show. Mm-hmm. You fill up a half hour and whatever. Someone made some money, filled some time. But HBO, even I don't know if they really do it now, but they used to before Comedy Central and before Netflix. They would be the people that would break comedians. You'd come to find the people that
an HBO show, you had made it.
Yeah, and Chris specifically
Chris Rock.
Find the Chris Rock shows. Bring the Pain.
Bigger and Blacker?
Bigger and Blacker, Bring the Pain, any of the George Carlin ones from that time.
Yeah. I wish they were available on HBO Max as like an archive.
Yeah. No, I wish too. The HBO has produced so many specials and so much original content before they started doing like these huge event shows like Game of Thrones and must-see television. They were just doing essentially, it's not TV, it's HBO stuff. They were doing sitcoms, but the sitcoms had boobies in them, mm-hmm. or they had, violence you couldn't show and swear words and stuff. But mm-hmm. but they were the people to turn to find stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And they had the best stuff. And it was uncensored as well.
Right.
And that's what was so great. And they were concert films. They were extended 45-minute hour specials, no commercials.
Right.
So you didn't get the breakup of the sets either, mm-hmm. which is important when you see a show.
For flow, yeah. So my last thing would be something that I didn't think about until I was reminded that Whoopi Goldberg had a late night show. And
I gotta find this.
And she's been on The View for years and years and years, but she's great. A lot of people I don't think of her as a stand-up comic because she hasn't done it in so long. So
she had those one-woman shows on Broadway for the longest time too.
I know that we remember, but the youngins don't.
Yeah.
But she's also a good interviewer, and I think that show was kind of one one of a kind in a certain way, the way it was made.
Absolutely. Also, we completely forgot one that I'm going to throw out here as a PS.
Yes.
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall.
How the hell did we miss Arsenio Hall? Arsenio Hall, when you talk about, is probably one of the the anointed stand-up comedians. I mean, he was the first black person to ever have a late night show. Mm-hmm. It was in syndication, but it essentially was on the Fox networks.
Yeah, it was mostly on Fox.
And he was getting better ratings than Johnny Carson at some point towards the very end.
Towards his very end?
Towards the end of Carson's
run. I was going to say,
because they overlapped just towards the end. And
but Arsenio dropped off at the end.
Yes.
At the end of his show. And he did movies too.
And he was very much breaking the mold. He was bringing on comedians. Mm-hmm. Notably, one of my favorites, Rudy Ray Moore.
Yeah.
And people that were from the old school comedians, black comedians, Hispanic comedians that were not getting play on Carson or on Leno or on any of the other shows.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So this has been stand-up comics.
Nice. This was a very fun time.
Yes, and
to think about. Now I just want to, I mean, I don't know if this is entertaining for anyone else, but it makes me want to go watch a lot of these specials now.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing that's nice about stand-up comedy too. It's very low commitment for high fun factor.
Yeah. And it's somebody talking. You can take it with you on a walk or while you're driving. You don't.
Except for Carrot Top.
But
a lot of visuals. He's got a lot of props. Trust me.
So watch Carrot Top for sure. Then
it's almost Dadaist in its level of sophistication.
Yeah, we shouldn't have talked about Carrot Top. We don't need him to become more famous.
We have a lot of trigger words on here of people that have once made us giggle and now just we try to avoid.
Yes. All right. This has been
Dave
and Cheryl
and the 90s.
Jay, my new film is a mix of action and comedy. It's called McBain. Let's get silly. Did you ever notice how men always leave the toilet seat up? That's the joke. You suck, McBain! Now, my Woody Allen impression. I'm a neurotic nerd who likes to sleep with little girls.
Hey, that really sucked!
The film is just me in front of a brick wall for an hour and a half. It cost $80 million.
How do you sleep at night?
On top of a pile of money with many beautiful ladies.
Just asking.
Got a favorite 90s moment or topic you want us to dive into? We'd love to hear about it. If you think we got everything wrong, we'd love to hear about that too. Drop us an email at andthe90spod@gmail.com, link in the episode description, and you can be damn sure that we'll read your comments on the show. Also, if you're digging the show, please rate, comment, subscribe, and tell everyone you know to check us out. It really does make a difference. Till next time, remember, we're nostalgia for the olds and education for the youths.